Right. Welcome to practice 2 of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for 2056. Be embarrassing if I got that wrong. And here we are watching a few smoky Aston Martins. Peter Waghorn, well, he looked like he had an issue. It's popping out smoke. We have been told that he does have some issues. Aston Martin doing its usual things. He's on a 3% engine, so they're just getting the squeezing the life out of this engine, but they're confident it will make it through the end of the session. Anyway, this will be Wilfried Lorenz's last Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. For those who've been paying attention for many years, Wilfried Lorenz made his debut with Aston Martin and has gone on to, well, he's already wrapped up the championship. It'll be his 8th and final championship because he's retiring at the end of the year. So, the conversation at the moment, the topic is he the greatest Aston Martin driver of all time? The obvious name that will come to mind would be Oliver Behrman, who retired at the end of 2042. Lorenz came in 2046 maybe, 2045. We'll double check that. And he's wrapped up 8 championships, whereas Behrman wrapped up 9. Lorenz would obviously be capable of more, but he's decided to retire at the end of the season, making way for Peter Waghorn to possibly take his place as lead driver at Aston Martin, and maybe Waghorn will go on to win his own championships. Lorenz is expected to be replaced by Rui Michaud, who's currently racing at Red Bull. And Aston Martin has not been shy from buying drivers out of contracts. So whether Michaud is committed to Red Bull or not remains to be seen. But Aston Martin is rumoured to make a serious play for Michaud, as he is rated one of the best in the category at the moment and is a little bit younger than some of the more experienced drivers, so he will only get better over time, whereas some of his counterparts are perhaps at their peak already. So, yeah, Aston Martin doing their usual thing of running components into the ground and using their best components in qualifying and the race, but they're also expecting to not have the best components, so their competitiveness may not be that good. The team is at the moment committed to developing next year's car and not worrying about scoring points at this point in the season, especially seeing as they've wrapped up the driver's title and also the constructor's title. Current standings are, you can see that Wilfried Lorenz is well ahead of Carl Auger for Red Bull, and Aston Martin is also well ahead of Red Bull in the constructors as well. So, yeah. Aston Martin's reserve driver is not quite ready for the step up, team principal said. But after Michaud, he is expected to be replaced by the reserve driver, assuming that there are no more exciting prospects coming up the pipeline before then. There is obviously Emerson Cruz, who was a long-time reserve driver at Aston Martin. Cruz currently racing at Mercedes and is one of the oldest drivers on the grid. But he is perhaps too old for the seat and not at the level of Michaud at this point in his career, so Michaud is the more attractive option for the team. Even though Aston Martin has historically signed Irmgard Schmidt, who was teammates with Lorenz and won 1 championship before Lorenz started his incredible run of 8 consecutive titles. It hasn't been an easy slog for Aston Martin in those 8 years. Lorenz has been there in the glory days when the team was winning constructors and drivers championships quite easily, and it's a lot harder to come into the team and expect to be winning straight away because there are other teams that are doing a much better job, as the category has voted to make it harder for reigning champions to continue to win constructors championships and drivers championships. But Aston Martin has come to the fore again and beaten its rivals once again. So this will be the last run for Wilfried Lorenz in the championship, and he will go down as one of the category's greats, just like his previous counterpart Oliver Behrman. Lorenz was once a reserve driver for Ferrari before Aston Martin seized the opportunity to sign Lorenz, replacing Wilfried Roth, who won only a single championship before his own strange decision not to continue with Aston Martin. It isn't clear what exactly transpired between Roth and the team, but Lorenz has obviously had a very happy relationship with the team, as has Peter Waghorn, who stepped up from being a reserve driver to being a main driver. Waghorn has not quite been at the level of Lorenz, but he also wasn't expected to be. He has stepped up this year and has been running quite close in the championship until a recent run of difficult performances. Whereas Lorenz, who's had his own fair share of bad luck, has been performing at an incredibly high level against fierce rivals like Carl Auger and other great drivers of the time as well.